that bloom in the darkness. It's a sighting that is rare to come across. Nobody seems to have noticed that the power that could be bestowed is lost, riding through the twilight. This armory protects my heart.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Hope we are all doing well. Welcome to Myles Dyer Live, where every Wednesday we hang out and talk about all sorts, not just VR. I know a lot of you are VR fans out there, and as much as I do enjoy covering VR, this was something that I've done for many years, and it's nice just to reflect on all sorts. Sometimes we get into the serious. I know there's a lot going on in the world at the moment, and you know, we might talk about it today. But also we like to kick back, and I just love having conversations with friends and people I know from different industries and just getting insights. And actually today is going to be a really cool one because we're talking about tattoos, and I don't have any tattoos. There was a period where I had a tattoo sort of design in mind that I sketched out, and I spent about 3 years agonizing over it. And then I thought, that's long enough to say that this isn't the right one for me. So I didn't get it. And I'm not against it. Maybe sometime I'll consider it again. But there is a poll in the chat right now asking if you have any tattoos. And I did actually inquire this as well on Instagram. And the results on Instagram alone were really interesting. Because I'm asking, have you had any tattoos? It's like, no, but I want one. It might be no, and I don't plan to. Is it that you've got 1 to 3, or have you got 4+? I kind of wanted to have one separate from a few, because I think, you know, some people just have one. But this is the results on Instagram so far. And it was 25% across the board for a lot of it, and I was really interested to see that. But I definitely want to hear in the chats. Wow, Ryan with the bold comment, never had one, never seen the point of them. Well, who knows? By the end of today, Ryan, you might end up being like, I'm going to get full sleeves. Maybe. But before we get on with the show, and my buddy Adam, Octopanda, is going to be joining us to take questions. You've been submitting them on YouTube, Instagram, X. And of course, if you have questions in the chat, as I always like to say, just put a Q at the beginning of your question. Then I know it's a question for us. I can save it and then we can get to it later. And Nick says, I think I'm in the agonizing over it stage of your story currently. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, especially your first one, right? And then it's that thing of like, I hear once you get one, it gets a lot easier. Right. Before we get on with the main topic, though, there's a few things I want to say. Firstly, the past week hit 50 paid members on my YouTube channel. So I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's become a member. It's just a small thing I have on the side. It's like a tip pot. That if you want to support my channel, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. As many of you know, I have a store, questforempathy.com, with lots of merchandise. That's my favourite way for you to support because obviously I make a little bit of money from it, from the designs, but more importantly, you get to wear lots of cool merch. And I still can't believe that the penguin hit me on the head mug is still like the best-selling thing. I thought it was a bit self-indulgent of being a me, but that's what it is. But also you can become a member of the channel. I keep saying it's the price of a coffee a month, but like, you know, the prices of coffee keep going up. I actually think it's cheaper than a coffee. So maybe like a bottle of water, but even that might not hold. Also, we have Empathy Arcade Discord. So if you want to hang out with everyone, all the lovely people in the chat, when the show is not on, please come hang out there. And if you like the music you hear at the start, there is a playlist on Spotify. You can either search Myles Dyer Live, use the QR code, and then you can save it to your favourites, and all the music at the start, most of which comes from Monster Cat, will be found there. But something I've been thinking about for a long time is there's always like new gear you can get for your studio setups. And there's something I've wanted for a very, very long time. Elgato do something called a prompter. It's a teleprompter, but it's a smaller one. And I actually received it today through the post because it was on sale. They're not cheap. And I really wanted to set it up today. But I was worried that if I set it up today and then I screw up my setup, it's going to, screw up the whole show. And it's going to be a good one today. So I'm probably going to do this at the weekend. But for those that don't know what teleprompters are, these are devices where they sit in front of the camera and you can put scripts on them so that when you're doing a video, or even if I was doing a live stream, I can be reading it, but I'm actually looking at the camera at the same time. So like you can see here, this is it. And the way it works is you have a mirror and you have a monitor. So the monitor will be backwards and it reflects it there. So you're actually going to be looking at the screen. But to show you how good it is, if I turn it around now and I put this to the camera, obviously I'll probably mouse it, the quality stays there. It's really good. But right now, and it also means, and sorry Adam, it's not going to be for you today, but it means that I could have my guest on screen over the camera. So when I'm doing Without Parole with Brian, I can have right on the camera. So when I'm talking to my guest directly, for everyone else, it looks like I'm looking directly into the camera, not just to the side. And of course, it means that I'm at a period where I'm scripting a lot of videos. I've had a lot of comments from people saying they're enjoying my Instagram Reels and my YouTube Stories predominantly. And I enjoy doing them. And this just means I'm going to be able to make them a lot easier, especially with the sort of editorial pieces where I'm commentating on the state of the VR industry and other stuff as well. So, yeah, consider that like a 50 membership celebration. Hopefully I'll have that set up next week. And then finally, before we get on with this, I was in the bathroom earlier going to for a bio break is the term I've heard from some of my colleagues. A bio break. I think it's an American thing. It's a very nice way of saying it. And as I was looking out the window over my garden and into my neighbour's garden, I really want to have X-Files music on right now. I saw something very, very disturbing, right? Check this out. This was in my neighbour's garden, and I have no idea what it is. I mean, this gnome thing's pretty cool over here, chilling out. But, and I'm pretty sure it isn't my neighbour. But, yeah, I don't know if anyone knows what this is. Is it something from the Goonies? I don't know. I just felt I needed to share it with someone because keeping it to myself was a bit disturbing. So there we go. Thank you for all the love in the chat. And as I said, like that smash button, and come join us in the Discord. It's a great community there. So yeah. Salvador says that's what they do with interviews and documentaries. And by the way, let me get the background music on, by the way. That's what they do with interviews and documentaries. They have the person giving the interview on the mirror. Yes, they do that. They sometimes do it round a corner. So they'll have like the interviewer here and the interviewee here. So they're at a right angle. And so one looks into the camera and the viewer is on the side answering the questions. So, because obviously looking into the camera, there are some people that just don't do that on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of weird. So being able to say, hey, you just got to look and talk to me. And as you're talking to me, you're actually looking at the camera. It made things a lot more natural as well. But yeah. And Agramonia says there are several Impact Reality games on sale on the PlayStation Store at the moment. Yeah, thank you for everyone who's been supporting us. We do have some announcements coming up of some games that we're working on. Some of our published titles, some of our titles in development. Really excited for it. So stay tuned there. Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to welcome to the show Adam, who I knew, and we'll talk about this in a minute. I knew initially because when I was in the band Schemata Theory, you're always looking for shows in London and, you know, out and about. And we got to play with a band called Deadly Circus Fire, and Adam was the vocalist. And we ended up playing together like 5 or 6 times, and it was always amazing. And so we became good friends. And then over the years, we've barely seen each other, and he's been a tattoo artist, and I'm always admiring his tattoo work from afar. And embarrassingly, I never asked him a lot of questions about tattoo stuff that I'm going to ask him today, and I was like, you know, saving it for the show. Clearly, it was planned all these years. But Adam, welcome. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. I'm very good. It's that seldom meetup we do, but it's lovely to have it.
We were just saying that the last time we actually met in person, I think there was Bernie Sanders was doing a book tour in the UK, and I think it was after the first time he ran. So it might have been 6 years.
It would have been back like 2015 or 2016.
Oh my god.
2016 was when, yeah. So it would have been 2015. Oh my goodness.
That was crazy. Yeah, that is scary, man.
That's 10 years. It's over 10 years ago. It's about 10 years ago now.
So when did you actually start like tattoo artistry? Because how does that journey start? Because my understanding of it is you're an artist, and then isn't the whole thing that you practice on pig skin?
So actually, you make a really good point about when I started. I started about 11 years ago, so it would have been around the time we last saw, was when I completely changed.
Has it
my
really
whole
been
career.
a decade? Oh my god.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the weird thing, isn't it? You can talk to someone online every now and again, and you think, oh, you know, I've got a relationship with that person. I see, and you know, catch up with them, and then you realise, when was the last time I physically actually met up with them and saw them and said hi? And you suddenly go, oh goodness, that's actually a very long time ago. And as another person, yeah, as a fellow gamer, I can also understand that thing, like, you know, you play with mates, you've got those mates that you know intimately, but you've never actually met them in person online, and then you've got other friends that you see all the time, but you never really get to see them often, you know. But yeah, in terms of starting tattooing, it was I just left my job as a graphic designer after about 6 years, and I just hit a wall with it, and I just needed a change. And the day I had nothing planned. The day I handed my notice in, a friend of mine, Sean, pinged me a message out of the blue, not knowing that I just left my job, and just went, "Oh, hey, buddy, I know you've got a job, but the tattooist you've been seeing, who's been doing your work, their studio is holding apprenticeship interviews at the moment. So, you know, I know you always wanted to do that as a kid and stuff. So, who knows? You know, never leave it off the table." And I went, you know what? No, if there was ever I'm not a spiritual person at all or anything like that. You know, I can maybe believe in a little bit of karma sometimes. I was kind of like, you know what? If there's a sign, that's going to be it. So, and it's been 11 years, so it definitely worked out to be the right decision. And in terms of like pig skin, yeah, that's a very old traditional method.
I was going to say, surely there is a new like synthetic way of doing it. Is there artificial materials you can practice on? Is that what it is? Yeah, you
can buy fake skin, unless you buy the really good stuff, and even that stuff's a bit, you know, 50-50 depending on where you purchase it from. It is really, it's just awful to tattoo. I never particularly enjoyed tattooing on it, but it definitely set you up to working with the hardest situations. So when you actually tattooed people, you realized, oh my goodness, this is like super easy. Not in an easy, like it's easy to do, just how easy the needle can just damage and go through the skin. You just suddenly just go, oh, okay, look, we're going, this is happening. Like there's no going back. Since you start the line, you've got to finish it. And so it's but what's funny is, as I said, I was, I left graphic design because I found the industry very stressful with meeting deadlines and, that whole environment. And I thought I was having a lot of stress-related migraine illnesses, quite bad ones. And when I became a tattooist, people went, isn't that not more stressful because you're like permanently, scarring people and hopefully not making mistakes? And I went, surprisingly, I'm absolutely fine with it. Like I have like one migraine a year instead of one a week. So it's absolutely huge improvement on my mental health. It's so weird. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably because it's a much more controlled creative industry where I am in control, and I'm as I'm self-employed as well. So if I succeed, hooray, congratulate my victories in my own way. If I fail, I take it on the chin and I have to deal with it. That's my responsibility. I think that's the biggest thing for me is when I worked for companies and businesses and offices in the past or retail, there was always an element of if you did well, it was kind of like a shared win, or no win at all, wasn't even noticed in some cases. And then if I failed, it was really heavily on me, or if someone else failed, it would be all of us have failed, so we all have to pick up the pace. And it was almost like the unity was only when it benefited the minority over the majority group. But being self-employed as a tattooist just fits me down to the ground of my mentality of how work environments should be.
Dude, so two things on that. So the first thing is the whole the fact of not really speaking for a long time. I've always regarded it as passive awareness with social media. So I always said before the internet, you would meet up with someone and go, what have you been up to lately? And then they go, oh, I've been up to this. And what have you been up to? It's now switched. Now in social media, you go up to someone and say, I see you've been doing this. And they're like, oh, yeah, I have been. And then I see you've been doing this. And it's kind of like, you're always sort of aware. And I think that's definitely what's been happening with us. And then the whole mental health sort of aspect to this I find interesting, because I'm not going to lie, Adam, and just to let everyone know, I've not prepped Adam anything. I've told him how the show works, but I've not fed him any questions beforehand. But a lot of the questions I have about tattoos, I genuinely thought I don't want to give you an existential crisis of shit, I've never thought of it that way, and then you go into your next one overthinking it. I don't want to cause that kind of stuff. But the reason tattoo artistry fascinates me so much is the permanence of it. And it's not just the permanence, it's the connection people have. So who was it in the chat at the start was saying, Corey, definitely getting a tattoo of my late dog's paw print, still not sure where to get it though. And we were just saying, well, the countdown was happening, because yes, everyone, when the countdown happens at the start of the show, me and the guest are always chatting in the background. So if you're good lip readers, you might be able to tell. But you were saying that you've done animal paws before.
Yeah, in paw print tattoos. I think it, just to highlight it as a broader scale, we do a lot of tattoos that are kind of in memoriam or dedications for both pets and family. And as someone who is a pet owner himself, grew up with dogs all my life, I see it as the same thing. Dogs and pets are family to a degree. I've probably been to some funerals of some people that I probably had less contact with than my own pets, and probably mourned less. Now that doesn't make it less of a thing. It's just a connection to someone you've known over time. So I can understand when someone wants to get something to commemorate such an important point in their life, albeit maybe 5-10 years. Paw print tattoos are definitely, when I say the word common, I don't mean to devalue it as an idea. I mean, these days, what is an original idea? So it just comes down to, if it's for you, then yeah, absolutely. If it's something that makes you feel evokes any kind of positive emotion or nostalgia in a positive sense, I think it's absolutely a great idea to go for.
So is being a tattoo artist, I'm trying to think, maybe barbers have this as well, because obviously you're having a lot of conversations, but I just think tattoos, again, because a lot of the times it's a very personal decision and someone wants to make it just right. What's the process like with getting to know someone? Is it asking the right questions? Because you don't want to like intrude too much, but also you want to be taking it seriously. Like, I know it's not a one size fits all, but like, what is the approach with? I guess it's going to differ from someone who's had lots of tattoos before and someone it's the first time looking at a tattoo, maybe not even sure if they want to get a tattoo. Like, what's your approach to that?
I think if we start with people who go, I want to get a tattoo, I just don't know what. The best way to go about it is book a consultation with an artist you like their work, or a studio that sounds like it's got a good reputation, and then and normally consultations are free, so you don't feel like you're like on the hook to like really make sure you get something. Like, you go in there, have a sit down and chat. Most tattooists very understanding, and they be all on the end of all, it's a business. They want to tattoo you, so they won't push you away from things unless it's definitely not in your benefit to get it. So if someone comes in and goes, my nan passed, I want to get her name, her date of birth and death, and I have to go, well, does her date of birth need to be on there? Because I can do it, but you say you want it on the wrist, which isn't a lot of space, right? So if you're being honest, maybe the date of passing might be more important, because obviously it's a dedication, or just not the dates at all, because the dates. So do you want the name? So it's because, remember as well, is even though a tattoo is for yourself and no one else, you are still advertising the artwork or whatever is on you. Do you want that information public? And if so, right, are you ready to have those conversations? Or you can lead on to other discussions of tattoos. But in this instance of some coming in and asking questions, I always just go, at the end of the day, you let me know what you'd like to get in terms of a general idea, or any reference images, or something that's kind of caught your eye. It doesn't have to be a tattoo, just an idea or an image. Then I discuss with you options of what you can do, how you can do it. Then I give you a quotation of how much roughly it would cost based on time and effort and complexity of the tattoo and placement. And then I kind of just, what I usually do is I say I can either leave it with you to contact us when you're ready to book in, and we can do it over the phone or on the internet. So then you've got time to, because some people feel like they're on, like, I've come all this way, I have to book it. And it's like, no. I don't want you to think that you have to, especially if it's a walk-in, someone goes, I want to do it right now. I think half the job of tattooing is actually convincing someone to make the right decision, not just to get a tattoo, because I'd rather someone walk out happy than walk out going, oh, I didn't really want that, and I've just paid this much money and it's not what I wanted. And I want people to walk around and give good compliments about the studio. I want them, or the artist, I want them to go show their friends. I want their friends to look at their artwork and go, look, it's not for me, but that's really, really nice, man. Where'd you get that? And then the conversation goes, and it hopefully drums up more work and positivity. But yeah, that's probably how I would go about it usually.
Have you ever done I don't know if the right term is, cover-up job on someone that you originally tattooed? I was like, that's a pretty. It's not necessarily damning on you. It's just someone might have just had a change of heart with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect example. Customer of mine, lovely guy. I've been tattooing him probably since I've almost started tattooing, about 10 years. And funny enough, last week we just finished his sleeve. It took 10 years on and off, because he's been getting other tattoos in the meantime, because you don't always have to stick to the project. You can go, do you know what, I'm going to get this on my leg, or this happened to me in my life. Can I take a break for 6 months? Absolutely. I'm not in control of when you tattoo. You do it when in your own time. So we finished that off, and that involved a cover-up of a piece I actually enjoyed doing, and it was a nice piece, but it didn't fit with what the theme of the sleeve was going to be. So he started off with, I think it was, I can't remember which way around it was. He had ancient Greek tattoo of Atlas holding the globe on his forearm. I did, and then, or before that, I did the Marvel. I did like a Marvel piece, and it was like half Ghost Rider, half Captain America's shield, because he's a comic book fan.
Nice.
Then he started getting more and more ancient Greek gods and themes on the arm, and then one day he went, "You're going to hate me, but I kind of want this whole sleeve now to be one theme, and your Marvel tattoo's in the way." And I went, okay. And then and I wasn't mad at all. Once again, it's his body. If I wouldn't be mad, I'd be like, oh, that's a shame, but I would never be mad at someone or upset if someone changed any of their body regarding the tattoo or work I've done, it's because it's none of my business. As soon as they leave the door, it's none of my business. Their body, it's their choice, that whole thing. So yeah, I covered it up. I put a nice big picture of Zeus on it. I had to, really go in with the shading to make sure it covered up what was there, and it worked fine. And now he's got a full sleeve of something he's really, really happy with, and I'm happy with what was done. So yeah, it can happen. Cover-ups happen, especially ones of your own work. But I mean, hey, if they're coming back to you to cover it up, they still like you enough to get it covered. So you didn't do that bad a job the first time.
That's absolutely right. I do want to actually. I'm just going to switch this screen here. Is you sent me some examples of your work. I'm good to show them all in here. Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
No. I was like, it was awesome. I just thought you could take me through some of these and talk about these. By the way, how would you describe your style? Is it something that you can? Because sometimes when you work in marketing, you have like a one-pager that accurately describes what your art style is. I assume for you, it's more of a. It's me. It's like. It's the amalgamation of everything I've ever drawn. That is my style, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's my style has become more my personality than the art style itself. It's more I will draw for myself, really, and only me. Like nerd culture, basically. Anything that drums up any kind of a conversation. The idea that when I go to conventions, I have a flash book, which is all the tattoos I'm willing to do at a convention. I just do walk-ups, nothing custom, just all my pieces, because I just want to do, all artists, selfishly just want to do their stuff. That's the point. But, and I do custom work at the studio, so that's for there. And then that's just conventions. I'm like, look, I'll do these for this much, and you just pick what you want for me. And all the things in there is the book's just called Weird Shit, and it's because it's all I had. I originally had it into 4 different folders, and it was just like movies and popular culture, then it was gamers stuff, and then it was it was like cartoons and comics, and then weird shit, because I couldn't think of anything else to fit the other stuff that was just kind of very bizarre, meme, weird, like gothic stuff. And eventually I realized everyone walking past the table did that thing of like going, oh, weird shit, that's a bit of me. And I went, no one's reading other books now, so that's a waste of time. So I ended up then making this one volume of weird shit and going, there you go, and it just catches people. And so it is like, I mean, the crux of my style is weird shit, but it's stuff that I like to draw for me that I wouldn't necessarily get tattooed on me. I've got enough weird shit on me anyway, and probably will get more. But it's stuff that I'm like, that's brilliant. I love that. And the best bit is, and it'll lead on to something else maybe later in the conversation, but I'm very much in the mentality of half the experience of a tattoo is the experience of getting tattooed itself, not just the tattoo.
Right.
And that if someone comes along and goes, oh my God, it's an only cartoons reference, or it's a bizarre like Trogdor reference for circa early 2000s, memes from like millennial humor, or even some of the Gen Z stuff that I find entertaining, and then they go, oh, it's that, and then you suddenly start a conversation, you back and forth, and they go, do you know what, we've got an engagement here, we understand one another, we both love the same thing, a bit of trust has been gained. It's not just the car salesman like, oh, you like the Pokemon, and it's like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, you're just trying to get a sale through saying popular culture stuff. But I go, no, I love this stuff, and you know what, if you get me to tattoo it for you, I'll have all the research, because I absolutely love this thing down to the ground, and we'll have a good conversation when we do it. And they walk away with a story and potentially a new artist they can come back to, they feel comfortable and safe with, because I think that's absolutely paramount, getting tattooed. And then a tattoo, obviously, to top it all off.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm loving this one here. Was this recently done?
That was done about mid last year. It was one of my customers. He wanted Ozzy had just passed away, and he wanted to get a commemorative thing. So he sent me a couple of references of the kind of thing he wanted, and I just redrew it in my kind of a bit more in my style. Put a few. I did a bit of a Black Sabbath color tone on it with like that kind of. That Sabbath purples, and with a bit of a comparison of the oranges in there as well, but the purples mainly. And just wanted to make it a bit of fun. And he loves it. It's one of his favourite pieces. That's what he tells me anyway. He probably tells all his artists that. We did that, and I really enjoyed doing that. That's another one. I was once again nerd culture. Like I loved X-Files as a kid, even as in the idea of it, but I was never like watching it all the way through. It was one of those ones where it would be a random episode on at 9 o'clock at night on Channel 5 when you're
I'm
a
the
kid.
same as you. I never watched them fully.
And I'd pass by and be like, oh, and I'm that kid. If there was an advert about paint drying, I would literally go, and that'd be me gone, and be like, well, you're not even enjoying this. I'm like, I know, but it's on, and I'm going to focus on it because, and so X-Files, grew up with that a little bit on and off, and kind of really loved the idea of it more than the actual show. And then, funny enough, about a few years ago, I think it was during the pandemic, it all just popped up on stream, and I went, you know what, I'm going to start watching it. And my wife Yasmin, she was just like, this is dated and not particularly great. And I went, I know. But I think with some TV shows, that is the point, is that it's got this wonderful aesthetic of just being like, it's not quite tongue-in-cheek, it's of its time, and you kind of go, but there's a wonderful 90s vibe to it, and I like it. And we started watching it, and then a customer of mine went, can I get an X-Files title? I was like, absolutely. And then once again, just did a bit of research, focused on like the themes. Obviously, it's just like things like extraterrestrial and the weird stuff, and wanted to capture that all in kind of one image without it being a bit too over the top. And I just thought it framed it nicely.
It's so well good. The only episode I remember, and by the way, Chris in the chat, this is spooky. I did mention the X-Files at the start, the music. Yeah, that was subconscious, clearly.
Oh yeah, yes.
The only X-Files episode I remember watching as a kid was, I swear it was the actor who was in the original Final Destination. I could be wrong, but it was about the guy that could go really fast, but it was damaging his body because so in the end he was traveling so fast he basically like killed himself because it was like screwing up it was breaking bones and that.
The episodes always normally end on a bit of a foreboding note of like, you'd think that'd be cool, wouldn't you? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bit messed up.
I love this one, by the way, man. I love the jokes that you do with this stuff.
Thank you. Yeah.
What inspired this piece?
So this is something I'm very much into these days anyway. It's the idea of just adding comedy to like nonsensical images or imagery that's just that otherwise wouldn't have anything to, almost like Hallmark carding it.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it.
Being ironically dad jokey, like it's a bad joke, but that's the point. It's not trying to be clever; it's just being silly, and that's fun. The idea was I've been finding what's called, so if you're aware of chapter books, like almost like books that contain like far back as like medieval kind of records, that books that are like normally documented and kept online through archives, and they've got thousands upon thousands of references out there of images of like medieval artwork or etchings from Victorian era, and I'm absolutely infatuated with woodcut etching work. Something that's made to look it's not made to look bad on purpose. It's beautifully done, but it's got that kind of authenticity of the little, what was it Bob Ross says, happy little mistakes, happy accidents.
Right.
And I love that. I love that you can have something that little, and I love the medieval artwork, that the stuff just looks so like, well, that doesn't look like a skeleton, but I'm like, but I know it is, so it's good enough, and it looks good, and it's fun, and it's so silly and such a childish image, but it's obviously done by someone of the time who was well regarded artist probably at the time, or a monk who was painting a lot, because they had a lot of time back then, they didn't have social media, and so they'd have all these artwork, and I was like, what would he be saying? And I just kind of went, and I just come up with the most like cringiest like something that the inner dad in me goes, what could if someone was trying to do something cool and I just walked in and tried to like do a one-liner just to look cool, and everyone goes, oh, get out. Like, I want to do that. I want to be like, I like being the comedian that people go, oh, because that, I think there's a famous kind of like it's a well-known thing that a lot of comedians don't always want you to clap and cheer. They want you to kind of roll your eyes and go, oh, for God's sake, because they know that they've got you. It's like, it's like a very harmless form of trolling in a more real sense, but the whole idea of catching someone out. But those kind of designs where it's like old references to imagery, and I've just kind of gone stick a slogan, it makes people go, what, why, but then the people who love it go, oh, I'm getting that, absolutely, I'm all in.
It's totally my jam, as many in the chat will know. Much of what you're saying is actually relating to some of the questions I got sent in, so I'm actually going to feed some of them in now. I had someone on Instagram ask, what has been the strangest inspiration for a tattoo? Obviously, strangest could mean all sorts, but...
Strangest inspiration, that is a It is a weird one. That's we mentioned earlier when someone says tell us a joke and you suddenly can't think of any jokes.
Yes, it's that.
time.
Well, we'll put that question on hold, and then we can think about it a bit later.
Yeah, it'll come in a minute.
The other one comes from actually a colleague of mine, Ashley. She asked on Instagram, and I think I know what she means by this. She says best and worst part to get a tattoo on. So I'm assuming that means most painful.
Yeah, I mean, it's perspective of either the giver of the tattoo or the receiver of the tattoo. So I'd say getting a tattoo is obviously the most common question in terms of pain and placement. As someone who's had tattoos in some of the worst places pain-wise, I would arguably anyway, some places obviously a lot worse that I haven't had done. But
have you tattooed eyelids before?
I haven't tattooed eyelids myself. Colleagues of mine have, and it's.
How do you first do that? I just don't understand, like doing it the first time.
The trick, I think, my colleague.
The trick.
The trick they did.
The trick is not to do it like this.
She'll be fine with me saying this because it was absolutely fine. It was also like we had sterilized equipment, but she had we sterilized a brand new teaspoon, and she used it to hold the eyelid open underneath. So
that makes sense.
Almost like when you have to stretch something over something solid, so it holds it like a drum skin.
Yeah.
That, and she just and I think the customer just wanted dots on his eyes, or it was X's. I can't remember. But
I wouldn't ask for anything more complicated than that.
She was like, she'd been tattooing longer than I have. She's been doing it about 16, 17 years now, and even she was just like, I was bricking it because you don't get to tattoo eyelids almost ever. But she was like, I know the routine, I know the fundamentals, I know what I'm doing, and if I didn't, I would absolutely say no. And she did it, and the customer loved it. But the thought of, even I was like, on myself, let alone on someone else. I'm just like, for me, I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near my eyes. I've only got two. So, but I said their own. I don't have any judgment on that regard. It's just for myself. For me, like the most painful places, I would say, because people always go, is it the bony areas, or if you're
I was
fat,
about to say that is what you normally hear, which surprised me because I assumed like. If they're in my mind, when I first asked this question, it was kind of like, the wrist, for example, because you poke it in and there's like loads of gaps. I assume that would hurt more, whereas a bone, you're pressing on something, so you're not going to over dig it in. But actually, I hear the bone is more painful, like so knees, shins.
So it's weird because some people go the bony area is the worst. I think everyone's a bit different.
Sure.
It comes down to a lot of reasons, but the generic answer would be it's down to, I suppose, nerve endings.
All right. By the way, Adam Son in the chat, Kira said new nightmare unlocked regarding the eyelids.
Yeah. So we made a cup of tea with.
We're not recommending people get this as their first tattoo.
Absolutely don't. No, do not do that. But yeah, you can, but I don't recommend it. It's with the pain tolerance on tattoos, it's normally down to like nerve endings. So depending on how sensitive you are. So for instance, as a kid, if you were regarded as a ticklish person, or when someone like comes up to the side of you and gives you a little jab and goes,
"Oh my god," I'd be terrible at that. Yeah.
That's probably an indication that getting a tattoo on your ribs might be quite painful, because if you're sensitive in certain areas, on general touch and poking, you're probably going to not enjoy the tattoo in there, because it means that you've got quite, you're not sensitive, but you've got sensitive areas that your nerve endings are quite responsive, and if they're responsive, they're going to be sending signals to the brain going, you're being attacked, you need to fight or flight. And because you're sitting there on your own volition going, no, I'm being tattooed, I'm fine, but it doesn't stop the chemicals in your brain being sent around the body to going, red alert, you're being cut to pieces, and you're like, no, I'm just having a tattoo. So if you can I know it's silly, but it's that mind over matter thing. If you can that sounds ridiculous, force yourself to relax, and you get breathing control, keep yourself nice and steady, talk to the artist if they're willing to talk, if you're willing to talk, whatever you prefer, if you've got music to listen to, whatever method helps you relax as much as you can and stay loose and relaxed, then you're good to go. If you tense, it does hurt a bit more. If you're apprehensive, if you're nervous, it all comes up to it. If you don't, and other stuff as well, like health, if you don't sleep well, if you don't hydrate, typical health.
Yes.
If you don't look after your body doesn't look after you. So as a result, if you turn up, like as I have done maybe once or twice in the past, regrettably, and I wouldn't advise it, but hungover to a tattoo or two, you are going to have a very bad time, because your body is already on repair mode, and then you suddenly get stabbed a bit, and the mind just goes, I can't, there's nothing I can do, and then you're running on empty, and then that's when you start having things like people who pass out, people who throw up, people who have real little mini episodes because their body's like, I can't deal with this right now, and then it just kind of almost like Windows 98 shuts down, and that's it, but it happens, and there's no shame in that at all. I think some people, we had last week, I had a customer who passed out in the middle of his tattoo, and he went almost fight or flight because he was like, I'm getting hot, I need to get up, I need to leave, and we're like, don't, because as soon as you stand up, you'll pass out. So but the problem is it's past logic at that point. They're panicking, so you just kind of have to calm them and just go, look, just lie back, relax, and if you lie them down flat, then the blood circulates evenly, and that person can kind of regain a bit more control, and then they can relax. But it's just one of those things. So yeah, pain wise, it's just down to your nerve endings. I mean, some areas are worse than others. For me, probably the worst pains were probably my neck, the side of my head on both sides, and my knee, I would say, was up there. But the 11 out of 10, like the moment of lightning bolt, made me making a noise, almost falling out the chair, was right on the crux edge of the wrist, where the palm touches the wrist, where the skin changes. And it's because even though your palms get used every day and it's weathered by so many things, it's also got that kind of reflex where if you get something sharp and you give it a little, it goes, oh, and it pulls away, because obviously it's equipped for safety and instinct. And if that's the case and someone then jams a needle on it, your alarm bells. And when it got here, not too bad. When it got to here, I was like, ah, and that went from like 5 out of 10 to 11 immediately. But some people, as I said, are like, nah, there was no problem.
Yeah.
Everyone's a bit different.
That's good. We got Chrome Colossus was saying, does anyone ever use local anesthetic cream prior to tattooing? Is that even the suggestion? Yeah.
So it's a prickly subject in our industry at the moment about things like numbing creams and anesthesia. To touch on the cream element, numbing creams are very much as long as you let the artist know that you intend to use it or you want to know about it, it's down to them to advise you on what the safety precautions are of using it and not using it. And then, as any business does, they can refuse service if they go, I'm not comfortable doing that. Which is just, that's how it is. And there's a perfectly good reason for that. It's things like some numbing creams people can purchase from other countries where the lidocaine content is considerably higher than the UK. As far as I'm aware, the UK's lidocaine content legal limit is something like, I'm going to be wrong, I'll apologize, you can always check online, never take that for the actual number. I think it's like 5%, 5 or 10%, and in China it's like 50%. So
difference,
which is a lot of lidocaine, which has had links to very small instances, or albeit instances of people having issues with heart palpitations and stuff like that, because once that gets into the bloodstream, it can affect the body. So it's as you said, it's a slight anesthetic,
right?
And also people don't always read the instructions, and if they're from other countries where the English is kind of not translated correctly on the packet because it's not exactly a legalized or approved UK approved medication, then you go, don't do this, don't do that, maybe do this, and it will probably say the same thing each time, copy and paste it, and it doesn't quite make sense. But like things like, you should never apply numbing cream to broken skin because it will then go into the bloodstream and cause probably a little bit of havoc. Maybe not, maybe so, but more times than not. You're supposed to apply it on like kind of unbroken skin. You're supposed to wrap it up tight, let it kind of sit there for about, I think it's about half an hour to an hour, depending on the cream you use. And then once you remove it, it should be numb. But then, I tried numbing cream. I've used numbing cream a couple of times, not just because of the pain method of it. Most tattoos, I just sit there and take it. But if I let the artist know and they're like, yeah, use it, it's normally not just because I'm being a wimp, but because I don't want to move. I'm a fidgety person, and I know that even if it hurts or not, my body can twitch. And if I put numbing cream on it, it keeps me bloody still, and they're happy. But as I said, the other issue is that numbing cream kind of it numbs the skin, which makes the skin non-reactive. So what happens to skin when it doesn't react to being pinched or poked is that it doesn't move, because skin is a moving organism.
Yes.
But if you numb it, it's dead and it's thick, and it's like tattooing leather sometimes. So then it makes the tattooing a lot harder. It makes healing a bit more shaky. So it actually leaves a higher risk for the tattoo not coming out as well as it could be. You just got to, as long as you're aware of it, you can make the decision and take the time to do it. I've tattooed over numbing cream many times, and 99% of the time it's been absolutely fine. Other times it's like, okay, we've got to redo some of the color because it just didn't hold, because the body just didn't take it, and you move on. Anesthesia, the quick answer to that is, I think absolutely no on anesthesia on tattoos, because it's good for medical procedures, and even then doctors and surgeons don't recommend it unless it's an absolute must, because anesthesia is so dangerous even today, because it essentially shuts the body down and forces it to shut down, and some people don't wake up. And it's not always time, not scaring anyone off procedures. People have surgery every day. It is still a risk, and even on a there is no absolute guarantee. That's why you sign the waivers saying I might die, and that's it. And I mean, I'm being honest, if you think that procedure is worth you getting a aesthetical procedure of the tattoo, then don't get a tattoo, honestly. Unless anesthesia suddenly becomes this thing where there's an absolute guarantee you will not die, and fine, do it. Go to sleep for 8 hours, wake up and have a new back piece. No judgment. It's such a dangerous procedure. Is it really worth? A guy died last year in America because of it.
Wow.
And it caused a huge, because people have been debating about it for years now, and more and more artists were doing it in America, because it was, obviously it's privatized as well over there, so they're making a bit of money, and they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their back piece done, and one guy died on the table, and I'm like, was it really
worth? Yeah.
No, and it's like, I just don't think, if the risk outweighs the reward on a tattoo, and it, don't do it. Absolutely never.
That's great advice. I got this question here actually in the chat, and it relates to one that I wanted to ask you. So, Sheeby3 said, what is the best way to test your pain tolerance for getting a tattoo? So my question to supplement this is, when you're giving someone a tattoo for the first time, this might be a really stupid question, is there like a test prick that you give them of like, before you start doing it, saying this is what it's going to feel like? Maybe not.
No, I mean, honestly, the best thing, unless someone is really like, I don't know, I'm like, if someone's giving off vibes that they're going to move or pull away, then I have to kind of then slowly talk them down, almost negotiate with them and go, you're here because you want to be here. You want this.
Right.
I only provide the thing you want, but it will involve the result of a bit of pain. It's like going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym, but I know what I want to get out of the gym, which is to feel healthy, better about myself, a boost of chemical. To do that, I have to do things I don't want to do, which is, go to a gym, socialize with people, kind of socialize a little bit with people. And I'm not saying I'm antisocial, just I vibe in those places don't make me feel particularly, I'm not a very self-conscious person with things like, body, funny enough, even though I'm covered, I'm not very body confident with some things, which is probably why I cover myself with toes. I don't know, that's a different thing. But, yeah, if you want something and you can do it, then do it. Worry about the pain later. It will hurt. It's going to hurt. But as they say, the best things in life aren't easy. And so if you're willing to get through that, then, isn't that amazing? Then once you've gotten through that pain, no matter how painful or not painful it was, you've done it. And the amount of people that get the first tattoo after being nervous, and I then tattoo them for many years to come, and that first tattoo, they were so nervous, they were like, oh no, never again, I won't do it. And then you do the tattoo and they go, that was that hurt, but that was really straightforward. I actually thought that was going to be a lot worse. I'm like, yeah, it was fine, you're still here, the world didn't end. You go,
it's because the actual is never as bad as the brain thinks of, like an infinite amount of possibility of pain.
If you don't know, it's like horror films. I bet the best horror films are the ones where you don't see the monster.
Yes,
because what's in your head is always going to be worse.
That's it. So I guess that is why you often hear people, once they get their first tattoo, they get more. It's because the inhibition at the beginning is often
because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. I mean, I still get. I've been many multiple times.
Have you designed your tattoos?
I did my first, before I was a tattooist. I did a first few. I had a bit of that kind of like, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't say it's just ego. It's a lot of people, when they want to get their first tattoo, they think, what shall I need to have something ready for them. It's like Dragon's Den. They think I need to be like prepared, make them know. And it's like, no, you actually can just walk in and go, I mean, I just like dragons. Can you do me a dragon? And they go, yeah, I can do dragons. And then they talk you through options and and that's it. And you do a bit of research looking at artists that do dragons. I mean, these days, the amount of artists out there, we've got an arguably oversaturated market right now, but the sheer amount of options you can go and have, and some amazing artists out there that can just they can like, so I mean, like people go, oh, some of these artists are amazing out there, I should probably call it down. No, some artists out there can do the best color realism I've ever seen, but you tell them to do a symmetrical heart outline and they'll go, no thank you. And it's because we've all got our wheelhouses that we're best at, and that's why we're good at them. And some artists are good down the middle artists. They're not the best at everything, but they can do everything. So,
Yeah.
it's that quality to quantity thing. And yeah, it's sorry, I massively went off target on that
You're
one.
good, man.
Yeah.
No, that's great, dude. There's one question that I know is going to spark a whole bit. Are you good to go a bit longer than we had planned?
As long as you want, as long as you want to give me all evening.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Because I know that. Actually, I'll leave this question for a moment. This is from Nicolo. It was about AI, because I know AI is going to be a big topic. I have a few questions of my own. Galileo had asked on YouTube, literally my bonus hits next week, and was planning on the next step of my tattoo. They're saying, have you got any tattoos, Myles? I can see a whole back piece. No tattoos. I can talk about the design that I had in mind. So it's actually still my YouTube channel name. It's Blade376. It was what my gaming username was, and I started on YouTube 20 years ago, so that's what I went with. And basically, I got a bit of paper because it was 376. I was, and it was like, it was just the number 376 was just something that anytime I saw it related a lot to me, because it was a part of my branding and stuff. So the idea I had was like a music note. So what you do is you'd have the 3, so you'd have the 3, and then you'd have the 7, and then the 6. So it was kind of like that. And so it was kind of I was going around to tattoo artists, and it's that whole thing of I remember making the mistake. They gave me a rough design, and I was like, okay, I want to think about this. Can I take this with me? They're like, nope. And like, I totally understand, because you could just go to someone else with it. And for 3 years now, Blade 376 is not something I stick with anymore. And so for that reason, I'm kind of glad I didn't go with it. But then I don't know, it's a part of my life and that.
Yeah,
but like,
it's one of those. I think to touch upon, I think how your mind is kind of like mulling over things like how the idea of getting a tattoo is. My mentality is this: no matter if it's something silly, something meaningful, something big, something small, if you are unsure, never get it. If you are sure you want to get it but you don't know what, that's the hard bit out of the way. If you're never sure about what you want to get, it's probably not for you. And indecisiveness, I think, is the biggest problem with getting a tattoo, because some of the most cover-ups I do are on people who were indecisive and they got a tattoo they regret and they wanted it covered up, and annoyingly, and not a generalistic, but more times than not, most people who are indecisive are really difficult to get cover-up choices for, because you go, well, you can only cover up with this kind of tattoo. Well, I don't want that. I know, but you've created this issue by making this decision, and it's, once again, no judgment, but these are your options. Or you can get it lasered. I don't want laser. Okay, so you've made the choice. You don't want the laser to remove it, which is the easiest not easy option, but it's the straightforward option. Covering up is doable for this design or this tattoo, this placement, but it can only be done in these ways with these kinds of designs or this kind of shading color and but I want a white lily. A white lily isn't going to cover it. It's going to come straight through, because it won't. And so depending on the design and placement, but some people just kind of go, but that's what I want. It's like, but you didn't know what you wanted the first time. And I feel like this is more of an issue of indecisiveness with yourself. And it's hard as a tattooist to say you need to go home and look in the mirror before you get a tattoo, because that's a really unfair comment to make, especially when you don't know someone's life and what they go through. So you have to kind of go, look, maybe today is not the day we go for it. I've given you the options. Go home and come back, and then we go from there. And if they come back, great, they've made a decision. But whenever people go, you're the expert. I am the expert at I'm arguably expert at what I do, but I can't decide for you. You can't. It's not how that works. You have to make that decision. You cannot. Same, and we will get to that with AI in a second. But you have to be the person to take full responsibility for your tattoo, because no matter what happens, that's on you for making that decision, that jump.
That's great, man. Well, Galileo also asked, my actual question was, Octopanda, do you hand draw your designs, or is your artwork done on the tablet? It blows my mind what you artists are able to do. Stay blessed. So it's hand drawn, or is it? Do you sometimes use a tablet?
No, I use tablets now more than ever. I use my iPad. Yeah, I use my iPad. I use an app called Procreate. It's probably one of the leading ones for most tattooists. Before that, though, like when I started as an apprentice, and when I was a tattooist for the first maybe three years, I think it was, I was hand drawing everything. Everything was hand drawn because I didn't have. I mean, I had Photoshop, but Photoshop was kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back with artwork. Because you either go all in, but with drawing, so it does create. There's always this argument of no one understands the old school ways of doing this, old school ways of doing that. I arguably agree that fundamentals are important, that we need to know basics and this, that, and the other. But like driving a car, you can learn manual as a starting point, but most people drive automatic now. So you can do both, and then neither of them are wrong, and there's preferences to why someone's better than the other. At the end of the day, if you're a good driver, that's the most important part. So, and that's it. So that's probably my take on that. And what was the other? So, what was the other part of that question? You said it was. No,
that was it. It was just, do you hand draw your designs, or is your artwork done on the tablet?
Yeah, so I do a bit of both, but I mostly now use digital because it just takes. I mean, honestly, Procreate's incredible. I'm very much a 11th hour person, not in a bad way, but I function best under severe amounts of stress. I have to create like a get it done now. You haven't got time for that. And I'm like, because so it's because if someone says, do what you want, here's the brief, do what you want wherever you want, and you got a month, and I'm like, and I won't know what to do. But if someone says, I want a dragon, it needs to be on this part of my body, and I only want the color blue as a shading, I'm like, cool, a challenge. Let's see how I can work this out, and I get it done. Sometimes my best stuff comes out of the pressure of that. Not always, but it's the idea of the challenge of I'm locked in. But that's it, yeah. So the digital kind of cuts that right down, because rather than spending hours drawing something by hand, and then someone coming and going, I was hoping that you could, remove the wings and put that up there, and I go, it's going to take me an hour to change all of that, but okay, because then you got to then re-amend everything.
Yes.
But if you digitally, you can sit with them and just go, and they go, can that be blue? I went, yeah, and it looks like this, bonk.
That's
and
awesome.
It's it's crazy, but yeah.
The AI question now, which is going to spark a lot of others. So Nick was asking, he had 2 questions. He goes, I've got 2 questions from someone debating on getting their first tattoo. I love this question because I deal with this in our company internally, working for a game company, which is, would you find it insulting or ill-advised if a customer generated an AI image of what they wanted, described the elements in the image, and said, I want your version of this?
I mean, I already have it. I already get customers that have AI generated, and this is what's crazy, I find. And this is not, once again, this is not a judgment of intelligence. This is just a bafflement on my part of realizing how human beings think. That when someone looks for a tattoo they want to get, they don't look up imagery. They don't go, I'll look at my favorite comics. I'll look at my favorite actors. I'll look at paintings. I'll draw something. I'll write something down. They go, I will look at other people's tattoos.
Right.
And I'll go from that. And it's like, the tattoo is the result. You want the inspiration from the image. I could do the last bit. I don't need to see the last bit. And so I now get, in some cases, people sending me, once again, no hate.
Yeah.
They give me AI generated images of image art designs drawn as a tattoo on skin.
Right.
And I'm like, so you've done the tattoo AI why didn't you just ask AI to draw a design? The picture.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna go on the skin. And that's before we get to the other argument a bit. I'm like, that's crazy but I get it, because they've written, I want to get a tattoo, I want it like this, and it goes, okay, this is what a tattoo will look like with that. And so I think obviously it's just how people prompt. Not everyone knows how to prompt correctly. I get it. But yeah, I do get those questions, and I'm not insulted. The only thing, there's 2 parts to the issue I have with AI and tattooing. The first part is, if AI was applied correctly, where it wasn't absolutely devastating the environment to the point where we're going to have a water crisis in the next 15, 20 years, I think they said, which is, devastating. That is alarm bells all around. and it's proven. It's not like it's conspiratorial. It's actually happening. And also all the other things that are going on with it, like noise pollution, horrendous things going on in the US with Elon Musk's farms, the RAM situation, as you know, someone in the gaming community, actually devastating. The head of head of Xbox is the CEO of an AI company.
Yeah.
So the snake is eating its own tail, essentially. It is the most mad time to be alive. And I know everyone will say that for whatever generation they're from.
It's
but we're in a
exponential
situation
for sure.
where we're making tools that, to make the tools, have to dismantle the things that we make to use to build other things with the tools.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I've made a machine that makes drinkable water, but it has to burn the ocean's water to make it. And you're like, then don't make it. Like, it's ultimately completely useless. I mean, someone said that AI is a tool that no one asked for. And it's absolutely that case. It is a tool no one, because it doesn't act, the things it should be doing, it doesn't get used to do. I think they did a think tank on it, on like, they asked AI what would be the best jobs, and they said basically jobs of CEOs and people who make decisions of companies, because they can actually generate, these machines can generate information on the company's staff and their output of work, and then it can generate who gets a promotion, who does this. And I went, yeah. And the CEO went, I didn't want that answer. I want it to have make it take away work from people who actually have to, live week by week. And it's like, why isn't it doing things to help us generate our taxes better? Blah blah blah. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But for creativity, for goodness sake, our industry's stretched thin as it is, and so now we just completely starve that whole creative aspect. And, if in that case, why don't we just then use AI to generate what I look like with all the tattoos, so then I don't have to get them ever? Because then I always know what I look like with tattoos because AI told me to. I know I'll go on a tangent about it.
No, please.
Yeah, and then the other side of it is, at the end of the day, AI is a tool. If it was created correctly and it had an ethical sense of how it was generated, how it doesn't destroy the environment to be made, and it was made to use as a tool for whatever, then arguably I would say it is still just a tool, the same way as a hammer is a hammer. But the problem is that with AI, there are so many. It's the human element that's the biggest problem. It's that you can't order a pizza and say you're a chef, because that's not how that works. So if you say, look, I've done this, and also another artist, a tattoo artist said this recently, and I thought it was really good. If a tattooist generates an AI image for the customer's work and doesn't tell them, that's not okay. No, because they need to be told that their tattoo has been AI generated. Arguably, I believe so. The same way that if I'm on Spotify, I actually feel I'm generally offended when as a musician as well as an artist, when I'm listening to Spotify and they're playing me AI bands, and I'm like, I don't want to hear this. It's a nothing. It's just vacuous nonsense. I don't need that. There's more musical entities on this planet than there are people. Yeah, like that's insane. And yet we want to create half-assed, we're in the era of what I would call era of good enough, or that's okay. Right. Nothing should be good enough. Things should be exceptional. Yeah, of course, people, get by and they do the best they can. No problem. But if someone has the ability to do exceptional things, celebrate them. Give them the chance to platform to do those things. Yeah. Don't go, oh yeah, but what if I make a machine that could kind of do half of what they do and it will take double the resources? That sounds stupid. Don't do that. But unfortunately, it's so easy to prompt without any kind of ethical responsibility to go, oh, I wonder, because I bet you if there was a visual of the statistics of every time you prompt of what you actually create and what it causes, you'd be like, it's like seeing the abattoir while your food's being made. It's like, oh God, I'm a vegan immediately. And as someone who was a vegetarian for 25 years and now I eat meat, I get the ethical conundrum. The difference is I'm not in denial. I'm aware of the problem, and I actively choose whether to be ethically aligned to be better, or to go, I can only be such a good person. I'm still going to do, I still go to the pub and drink every now and again. I know that drinking alcohol is probably worse than most recreational drugs. I like a drink sometimes. Yeah. Or if I know that McDonald's isn't the best meal in the world, obviously I know that, but sometimes I like a burger from there. If you're aware of the fact of something is detrimental and you still make the decision and you actively can admit, yeah, I know it's not good, but that's what I want to do. Fine. But when someone goes, no, I don't, I just don't want to talk about it. Don't really like thinking about that. It's like, well, then you're privileged enough not to worry about it. If you're privileged enough not to worry about it, then you're not really participating correctly. But sorry, I went on a big old tangent.
There's a lot there I want to respond to that sparked a lot of thoughts in my head. I mean, Nick, who asked the question, actually is in the chat, and he was just saying, he said a couple of things. He said, yeah, I want to use AI as a visual brain dump to help describe what I want, but I'm afraid of influencing the artist in a way they don't want. And then he said as a follow-up, yeah, the main thing I would want in a tattoo is the art of an artist that I like, which is absolutely true.
I think at the end, they don't be afraid to trust the artist to be creative. If you don't think they can, and without the prompt of an AI image, then either you're not trusting the artist enough, which means you just need to sort of deal with that, or you need to find an artist you can trust with that idea. But at the end of the day, the only way you're going to find out is by asking them to draw it. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no, or draw you something that you don't like, and then you can just go, oh, actually, no, that's not what I want, and you move on. And life is awkward. Life can have moments where you're like, oh, this hasn't gone how I want to do. But you'll learn better for next time, and so will they. Experience is such an important part of any process, and the fact that we're trying to cut corners to go, oh, I don't want to feel awkward, or I don't have to feel anything, or I don't have to look anyone in the eye. I get it, but we have to. It's the human condition. We have to.
Hell yeah. Chris was saying you wouldn't eat the Maccas if you saw how the product is made. There was a show ages ago where Jamie Oliver showed kids how chicken nuggets were made. Or no, I think it was like, was it chicken nuggets or turkey Twizzlers?
He just shows all the chicken all mashed up. And you're like, would you eat that? And they go, yeah.
Yeah, they go, yeah, and they eat it still. So like, but that's the whole, it's to your point though. It's like, as long as you know. So there's a couple, so I think the interesting thing about AI is even among those that, like us, that think about it, we all have different ethical boundaries of what we think is acceptable. So, for example, when AI started first working, I used this app that I paid for, and I uploaded images of me, and it made like 200 versions of me. And in the thumbnails for my VR Let's Plays, there's these really weird AI representations of me, and it's just because I have them stored. I use it. I sometimes do use ChatGPT, but like the overall thumbnail I create myself. It's just, and also for me, it's kind of like the image of me doesn't look quite like me, and that kind of plays on the VR stuff. So like that is something where I'm always like, I don't know how I feel about this. But here's an example, right, Adam? The thumbnail for this episode. This is the original design of it. And the image you gave me, by the way, awesome image. You'll see that shoulder on the left, it cuts off. Yes. And you can use generative AI tools that would actually just fill that bit. And I think that's an example of, no, that works. It completely works. I didn't do that. I basically cut a bit of your shoulder and then rotated it and added it to like that. So you can actually look closely. Brilliant. It works.
Well, that's brilliant.
And that was me being conscious, going, yeah, I know how Adam feels about AI and stuff, but like in that moment. But you probably wouldn't have minded with that generative little bit there.
But that's the thing is that I have used AI in the past.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I still use it now, and you know, there is an element of me I feel a bit dirty using it, but I'm kind of like, it's a tool I can still use, and I will use it when I can, but I don't outright create tattoos out of it. You know,
that is it. That's what we say at this the gaming company internally is we'll use it as a tool, but we will not use it for like full exports.
My mentality is if you're using something to replace a person's job, not add to it or to improve it or to gain you an ability to see from an angle or a perspective you're not sure about before, and you haven't got the manpower and the ability to do it, then do it. But the problem is I've seen is Coca-Cola, they went at Christmas time, we're using AI instead of animators, and animators normally cost them like $180,000 wherever it was to pay them to do it, and I was like, $180,000 to film and animate, that's actually a really good price. And Coca-Cola, one of the most expensive, highest profiting companies in the world, why wouldn't you spend that? And they went, and then their argument back, wasn't it, the CEO, one of the creative directors went, oh no, actually we did spend a lot of money because it took 70,000 prompts to get the right advert. But the advert was a mess anyway, so you actually it was worse.
Yeah,
and they're all. This is what they're realizing now. It's not the fact that it's the good enough end. That's what I said. It's the society of good enough. Is good enough isn't good enough later. If you're building the foundation of a house on sand, it's still a house that's on a foundation of sand. It could be the best mansion you can go to, but we're going to add more rooms. It's going to have a view of the ocean. We're going to have bedrooms in every floor. Yeah, but the foundation is still sand. It's going to fail. And that is always proven time and time again with AI processes is that at first it looks great. And I think there was a guy doing a report, he offered me internally saying his company, insurance company, CEO put money into an incentive of using AI, and then no one found out that no one was using it. So he then put it into everyone's policies that they had to use it at least twice a week to make it worthwhile. They then used it, went really well for a year, numbers look good, but it's because they found out a year later, the AI just went, look, the prompt was to make the numbers look good. I made them look good.
Yes.
Where I got the numbers, I don't know. And I was like, are you really gonna trust, like, and that's it. And the thing is, I think it's like Nuremberg trials. If you're going to be taken to court and your argument is, but the AI said I could do it,
yes,
or the AI did it, sorry, the AI can't go to prison. You can. So it's the whole, once again, if you're aware of what it's doing and the outcome of it and the risks of that, fine. Like, take the ethical fall on that. It's not a problem. I don't hate on that.
Yeah.
But if you play like kind of a weird weaponized bliss for ignorance on it and go, well, I didn't know, and I'm afraid that's just not good enough. Like, it's you can't play God with technology and not expect outcomes to be potentially catastrophic.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research now about how I don't know what the right term is, but psychophantic. It's like it will always suck up to you and give you the answers that you want.
Yeah.
And obviously it's positive reinforcement and that.
Yeah.
Or another example, Adam. And to be honest, this is so with my merch store. All my merch is artwork that I've commissioned. There was, I think, one like limited run thing I did quickly, which was an AI thing. It was generated on a joke that I'd done on a live stream, but it was limited. And then there was a shirt I made recently that I do want to actually get properly done. And for me, it's all about disclaimers. There's a disclaimer I do kind of feel I should put in the description of this video. So the music at the start, the countdown music on that is Monster Cat Gold. It's a record label. I pay a licensing for that. It's like 100 quid a year, and that gives me access. The music in the background right now is AI music, but it is like the instrumental stuff. It's a few batch just to keep stuff in the background. And me, morality-wise, like I'm a musician as well. It's kind of like if I was putting out music, like I was selling it or putting it out there going, everyone can use this, I would be like, I like that is you basically putting something out that you didn't create. For me, this is kind of like, it's background music. Like this content is the conversation we're having. It's just so that we're joined by something. And it shows you like where the ethical boundaries can differ from people to people. Yeah,
as I said, we can't always be perfect all the time. I think if we tried to, it's the same way of like, it's a difficult subject. It's like when someone, like I'm very much a mentality of, and a lot of people I know in my life are aware of this because I talk about it a lot, is the whole separating art from the artist. And I've had to go from being very black and white with the mentality of it and going,
and just to explain to people, that's the idea of an artist. Chris Brown does really bad stuff and people still buy albums, and people are like, how can you do that knowing the kind of person they are, right?
It's that, and other musicians, like you got Michael Jackson, which is an arguable one because of the court case, and then you've got Lost Prophets, which is an absolute horrendous situation. Won't go into the specifics, but it's the mentality of I've had arguments with friends or I've had discussions, and then one of my friends made a very good point of, well, let's say a actor works on a film and they did something they shouldn't have done, and you absolutely know for a fact they did it. He said, do you deny watching that film or putting anything towards that film financially because of that one guy, when there's 1,000 people that worked on the film that deserve recognition and celebration? And I went, there's a very good point. So I've had to kind of see it as for me, it has to, one, it's the individual perspective, so I can't push on people too much on it. For that. Two, it depends on who it is, I suppose, if on my ethics. So if it turns out the drummer in a band had done something and they immediately evicted him out of the band and they went, he is dead to us.
Yeah.
We're going to move on. We're going to do these things. I'll be like, cool, I'm going to still listen to that band. No problem. For instance, the Lost Prophets thing, the band immediately ejected him. I know people who know members of the band and they've had an awful time. I generally feel terrible for them because they've just had their whole lives just absolutely torn apart. Obviously, victims included, a whole different matter.
Yeah.
But because it was the lead singer, I personally can't sing along to his songs because I can only imagine who he was when writing those lyrics, the things he did in the days. And so it's just for me, it's a relative thing of, what he did, and also the crimes he committed was so vile.
Yeah, it's one of the few artists where when I hear the songs, and I was not a massive fan, but there was singles, I literally feel revulsed even hearing the music. Like it's just that kind of.
I was an enormous fan. It was songs of my summer, and in my head, the most selfish thing I thought was, oh man, I've lost out on my favorite albums. I'm like, man, you've lost on your favorite albums. The things he's done, the people he's ruined lives of, like maybe you can just get over having the CDs. I went, all right, okay. So I had to throw away, two of my favorite childhood albums. Fine. But then again, it's also not for me to then go around and go, don't you dare listen to that song. How dare you? Because there are arguments of, what about the other 3 members of the band? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that. But because it's the lead singer, because he is the voice of it, I can't personally go for it. But then again, there's other bands I probably might listen to, I would want to listen to when everyone goes, like for instance, Static X, love that band. The guitarist, their second guitarist, he got done for being a bit of an online predator. But
was his name? Was it called Twitch? What's he called?
Trip.
Yeah,
Trip Bison. Yeah, he's a really good guitarist, unfortunately. And I saw him live. It's one of the only times I saw Static X before Wayne Static passed away. And one of my favorite bands growing up, still technically one of my favorite new metal bands of my of our generation. And then he got announced to be what he is, and I went, oh god. And then, but the response was Wayne Static, when he's dead to me. Like I didn't know until I heard about it. As soon as I heard about it, he's out. I want nothing to do with him, and he's been blackballed ever since. And I went, you know what? Respect to the band. I'm still going to listen to them. So I suppose it's how it's handled, how it's dealt with, who it is in the band, and because it's not the singer, it's the guitarist. But that's my personal thing.
Yeah.
Go, well, if it's one member, it's got to be the other. I get it. I totally get it, and that's why it's a matter of perspective and choice. It's tough, It's like with Michael Jackson, when people, because he wasn't convicted of the crimes he was alleged to do, we won't go into what opinion that is.
Yeah.
But because of what he wasn't convicted of, people go, oh, but it's, Michael Jackson's on the radio. Yeah, but he's the king of pop. And in that argument that's fine. But I know what evidence was in court was the fact that, if we know for sure, was he offered around, I think it was like $10,000 per parent to have their kids stay at his place for a sleepover.
Right.
Innocent as it could be, I'm not going to go into that. But that was the fact that the money was offered, parents took the money, kids stayed over. If he wasn't the king of pop doing the moon,
right, yes,
and he was a general man in the street with cash in hand, and went, "Can your kids?" No, I'm not going to do anything to them. I want to have a sleepover.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 10 grand. Would be, what, 10 grand?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he? Or would you punch him in the teeth and tell him to stay the hell away from your children?
Yeah.
So that's where it becomes are you selfishly deciding that someone is okay, or someone's allowed to do something or be someone because of the tribalism around it? The whole, well, he's my guy. But he's the thing I love. He's part of me. And if he can't be the thing I remember growing up, then I'm wrong. I'm a bad person. It's like, no, you're not a bad person. You didn't know. It's not the mistakes made. It's what you do afterwards. And we've all been there. There's still video games like that. I mean, I've got tattoos of where is it? Hold on, he's here somewhere. I've got Ren and Stimpy on my arm. And John Crick for Lucy. I mean, he's got a checkered past.
Has he really? I didn't know. Yeah,
he's not a great man. So I could be like, oh god, I've got tattoos of a guy who created cartoons he's a bit of an unpleasant man, and
right,
not great. But the one thing I know, the convictions of him. I don't think he's a great human being at all. But the cartoon was worked on by hundreds of animators. It's worked on by a lot of people. I know it's me trying to justify not having to laser my arm, but it's my mentality of like, I'm aware of it. I'm not going to say go in that weird denial of
right.
Like I said, the biggest problem these days is tribalism. Is no,
you're so right.
I voted for that person, or I chose this person, or I wear the T-shirt. And it's like, okay, but now you know the truth, and it's evident, and it's proven, and it's on video or sound or whatever evidence you want. If you remove the name of the person that is being convicted or has been convicted, and we then played that to you, would you still have that opinion? And I think that's the case. If you showed anyone evidence of something horrible has been done by a person, but you remove the names of that person, the response of what that is the more honest response. Because if you then put the name back on and they go, oh, but he would never do that.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Tribalism is a dangerous thing, and that even works with things like AI or mentality on tattoos and stuff like that. Is people unfortunately will stick to a team because it's a weird. Yeah,
that's such a great point, man. No, dude, it was great. I mean, contextualized morality and people like. I just want intellectual honesty. Unfortunately, when it comes to power structures, and then I am going to go to actually a couple more questions before we wrap up on tattoos, but like when it comes to like power structures, unfortunately, you get rewarded for playing team sports. And because if you admit you are wrong, it's seen as a weakness. And so you're better off being a shameless individual, which is the real thing. And a lot of people are saying, epic, great insight, so they loved it. Nick, who asked the AO question, his other question was, it looks like you do a fair amount of really nice looking colour work. How does that kind of stuff hold up over time? I'm worried about the colours bleeding and getting muddy. And actually for that, while you talk about this, I am actually going to go back to this one here, because you got some nice colours with the purple. But yeah, tell us about the colour stuff.
It differs for every person. Generally, yes, colour will fade a little bit quicker than, let's say, black work or black and grey. It's just down to things like UV light, skin protection, stuff like that. Skin damage from like things like the sun or your diet or your exercise, and everything is a factor. Or how the tattoo works. If the tattoos have been done too heavy, too light, too quickly, not quick enough, and as a result the ink will heal differently. Either immediately it'll fade or it'll fade over the years. All tattoos, I mean, it's like aging in general. We all age, we all get old and wrinkly or big or small or whatever. It's the idea of being comfortable with the fact that you will eventually change, and no one likes that, and I get it. It's losing the control over being aesthetical or being cool or whatever, but it's going to happen. So my answer is this: when people say things like, can I get a temporary tattoo? I get asked that a few times. Someone goes, do you do temporary tattoos? And I always kind of, being a smart ass, I go, well, actually, technically all tattoos are temporary. And half the time I get back, what? I'm like, no, it's fine. And I'm just like, that's the point, is that you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. I'm not saying do crazy, do skydiving now, jump out of a building.
Right, yeah.
Like, I'm just saying moderate is such an important mentality. Do something risky, like get a tattoo. Like, I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying there's nothing, like the world won't end if you do. Like you can, I mean, obviously in different cultures, different countries and all that, there's different aspects, but tattooing has been around since the dawn of man. It was originally used as a way that tribes could identify each other so they wouldn't kill each other accidentally while they were out hunting, because they'd be like, right, is that Steve over there? Well, can't shout Steve, so I'm going to just see what triangles he's got in the back of his head. I know that's a very silly,
he's got a tattoo called Steve. Yeah.
It's Steve. It's like it saves a man's life. But it's the fact is that it's existed forever. It's the meaning of a tattoo can be anything. I think I remember before I was a tattooist, even during the first few years, it was like, oh yeah, all tattoos got to have meaning. And that's like I was arguing with myself, why does it have to have meaning? And it's because it's what you think other people will think. So then you have to go, am I getting a tattoo for me or how other people will view me? And it's that whole thing of where I've had discussion with people going, if you get a tattoo for yourself, bless my parents, I'm the only person in my relatable family, bloodline that have tattoos. No one else in my family have them, and they don't hate me for it. They don't dislike it. I mean, it's just not for them. It's one of those things where it's like, well, I've never really got into it, so it's just not for me. And I'm like, yeah. Fine. I've had, I've had debates and discussions on my family, as you can probably tell, very much a back and forth, because we just want to, it's part of our nature. And it's been said where they've gone, what if you've got a tattoo here or there, wouldn't that cause a lot of problems? I'm like, what do you mean? And bless my mum, she won't mind me saying, but she went, because when I told her about this, she understandably went, because I get it, there's the maternal element, the paternal element of just like, my baby's going to be him anymore, he doesn't look like him, so is it him? And I'm like, yeah, but if I was a burn victim, I know that's not choice. But if I was someone who gone through an extreme change physically, I'm still me. Mentally, changes that could have happened as the trauma happens, but that's different. I'm saying if someone changes aesthetics, they're still them. And my mentality when people say, oh, when you get all those tattoos, what will people think of you? I don't think whatever they want. They're still going to think something of me if I haven't got tattoos. And some of those people I'll never meet. So why should I worry about what people I will never meet? 7 billion people on this planet. What people I'll never meet might think of me in the future, when there's plenty of people who probably don't think wonderful things of me.
Right, yep.
Anyway, so it doesn't matter. It just bear in mind that on the rebuttal I will say to my own statement is, any tattoo you get is your responsibility only, and that is when you walk out of the door with a tattoo. Remember, there will be opinions of people that will be not nice or unwarranted, and it's not great. But, you just got to be able to remember to either have a conversation. Communication is the main one, and just kind of go, yeah. Now I just go, if someone goes, oh, why would you get a tattoo like that, or what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. Well, why would you get it? Makes me happy.
Yeah.
Do you do things to make you happy? Do you ask for meaning in the food you ordered at the restaurant? Do you ask for meaning in any kind of basic thing that you choose? What t-shirt you wear in the morning? Like, it doesn't have to have meaning. It just needs to evoke emotion, give you a reason to enjoy. For me, tattoos are more a representation of myself and my personality than not having them, because it shows more of me internally coming out than it does. It's the same way. It's a communication. It's me saying to people, "Hey, look, this is my personality. This is what I like. I like cartoons. I like video games." And then if people go, "I don't,"
is that Day of the Tentacle? Was that
It is, yeah. The old
holy shit! I didn't notice that. I've got over here actually. My brother got me a 3D printed years ago.
Hold on.
Oh no, where is it? Oh, here. It is. Yeah, so good. Brother got this many years ago, 3D printed. Yeah. Unfortunately, the gun broke at the end, but yeah.
Oh no! Oh man, like one of my favorite point and click games. Hence why I got it tattooed. But once again, yeah, it has meaning to me, and it's just a video game.
And we had a connection over it just then.
But it's a connect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's huge importance, communication and connection with each other. Because if someone goes, "I don't get it," you go, "Okay, then we probably don't have a conversation." And the same reason why all my games on my arms are like really, some of them are potentially quite, I would say, niche, and that's kind of intentional, because if I have someone walk up to me at a bar or something and go, "Mate, all about Lemmings," I'm like, "Oh mate, we can have a talk about Lemmings and Windows 98 and Windows 3.1 and all those other old," and that's fine. But then if I got, let's say, a Sonic, because one of my favorite characters, like we both love Sonic the Hedgehog, big fans of Sonic the Hedgehog. I was my childhood number one, like arguably Sonic over Mario. Like I'll die on that hill. Yeah, and people go, "Why don't you get a Sonic tattoo?" And I went, "I won't, because I don't want someone come up to me and go, 'Oh, my 6-year-old likes Sonic,' and I'm like, yeah, am I going to talk to him? Like, I'm not going to." And I think you'd go asking questions if I just went up to him and I was like, "Oh yeah, do you like Sonic?" Like, I mean, yeah, of course, there's an instance to it. Like I've got Kirby on this arm here. I love Kirby. He's one of my. Hold on. There we go. He's up there. I've got Kirby on my arm. And, I've got all these cartoons. And then, some kids will see it and go, "That's cool." And I'll be like, "Yeah, cheers, buddy." That's it. Like, if it's people, only people who know, and that's how you have a connection, that's the whole point of having a tattoo. It doesn't have to have meaning.
Have you got a cacodemon on your hand?
I do, yeah. The old Doom cacodemon. That was done by Adam Ruff.
I always have this off camera, and it's just because I don't want to scare clients when I'm on call, but I've got the...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a huge fan. Like one of the first games I ever played as a kid was Doom on my dad's MS-DOS. And that's crazy. I was able to work out how to use MS-DOS because I wanted to play this game that wasn't allowed to be played by a kid at my age at the time. But it's just a mess of pixels. But it was violent, and I was like, "Oh, I want to play this game." And I ended up finding it, and I couldn't really get far. I couldn't really get through the first door because I couldn't work out the key card. I was only like 6 or 7, and but like. It didn't, it was just a core memory for me, and I was like, "Oh, I'd love to get a Doom with the Cacodemon as well." And the first villains you see as you play the game.
And did you design that?
That was done by an artist called Adam Ruff. He's now in Bristol. He's based at Circle in Soho. But when I got it done, really cool artist, like great with color work. And like to maybe answer a future question, that all tattoos I get done now, I tend to get an idea of what I want in my head in terms of a theme or a thing. So, for instance, if it's a video game, I have a list of video game characters I want to get done. And then I just go to an artist and I go, "Here's the list of video game characters.
Which one do you want to do?
You pick it. I'll get it done in your style, and you have fun." And then they go, "Wicked." I get to pick the character I want to do. I get to do it in my way. And 9 times out of 10, they always come back with a design and go, "What do you think?" And I go, "I absolutely love that," because I know whatever they're going to do, it's going to be their style. And it's my character. So how is it going to go wrong unless they completely misunderstand the brief? And I said almost every time they've hit the nail on the head, and I've gone, you're the guy for the job. You're the girl for the job. That's perfect. So that's how you do it. You kind of you communicate, you understand the brief, and you also know the artist that you're going to. And that if you look at their work, do a bit of research yourself, you can kind of go, "This guy looks like he's got the kind of stuff that I like, so I'm down with him or her."
That's awesome, dude. And that actually caps off nicely. The last question I wanted to ask was to see some of yours, and there we go. I've got your link to your website and your socials in the comments below, but I don't know if there's anything you want to plug or just talk about what's on your website. I mean, you go to conventions, but obviously you have your own tattoo place, but pitch yourself.
Yeah, so I don't own my, no, I don't own my own tattoo shop. I currently am a resident at Rogue Tattoo in Windsor. So shout out to the gang there. There's such there's limited studios. I've worked at a fair few studios over the years, and either guesting or permanent. And there's a few times where I've realised that it's so rare to find little microcosms where you kind of all kind of work well together. They're going to call me a soppy sod for saying that, but I get on really well with everyone there. Some of them I've known for many years. Some of them I've gotten to know by working there, and everyone there is just it's a really safe environment. It's a really, really good vibe in there, and it's one of those things where my mentality is, in a world where people say things like I live for the weekend, and I go, why would you want to hate 5 days a week just so you can enjoy 2 and then rinse and repeat? That doesn't make sense. I get it. Not everyone is privileged and is able to get jobs that can make them happy. Try. You only have one life, as far as we know. If there's something you want to do out there, whether it's as small as getting a cheeky little tattoo just to have a bit of a laugh, and maybe you'll regret it in years, but maybe you won't. Some of the best tattoos I've known for people to have are the ones that made them feel great. And I've gone, what's that down there? And they went, it's a really bad duck that was drawn drunk by my friend. He's passed away now, but it's one of my favorite tattoos. And I'm like, oh yeah, and it's this terrible design. And then I'll be like, but it's his favorite tattoo because obviously it has huge meaning to that person. And made wonderful memories. And unfortunately, I've had other people where I've gone, that's an incredible sleeve. Where did you get that done? And the artist will go, this woman, I've had it at least more months where, it's the female tattooist or female customer's gone, it's all right. And I go, is it not a nice piece? And she went, it's an incredible piece, but the guy was a creep and he wouldn't leave me alone and he kept texting me out of work. And I was like, that's horrible, because they've then robbed you of, the emotion you get when looking at something. And that's it. And that's why I said before, half the job of a tattoo isn't just the work, it's the experience of getting it. And the least a tattooist, it doesn't even be said, but the least a tattooist can do is make someone feel comfortable, make them feel safe, and make them feel like they can be, relaxed and get a tattoo done, walk away neutral and positive about getting something. And that's it.
Love it, Adam. Thanks so much, dude. Please do follow Adam on Instagram and Facebook, Octopanda. I think it's Inc. Is it Octopanda _Inc. for Insta. I don't really use Facebook much these days, but it's linked up to it.
I'm
the same as well.
Insta is probably the main one I stick to.
Awesome. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone in the chat. I also know that Without Parole, because we're an hour closer, is actually on at the moment. So I'm sure many of you will head over. Do hit the like button if you haven't already, and do subscribe for all future Myles Dyer Lives, which are every Wednesday. It's always wonderful. The chat is great. Awesome questions. And I am trying to be more organised, where I will post before the show what guests I've got coming on and what the topic is with a question, so that people who can't tune in live can at least be a part of the conversation, which we've tried today. But yeah, thanks a lot, Adam. Really appreciate it. And take care of everyone. And as always, this is your chance to let us know your final thoughts. Take care, all. We're back. Adam was just saying how much he appreciated all the kind words in the chat, and this is what I say all the time: is it's everyone in the chat that makes this show what it is, because everyone's great. Everyone's just coming up with tattoo ideas for me. I'm not. It's for me. It's kind of like I'm not against tattoos. It's funny. It's like the indecisiveness / overthinking it. But before we wrap up, Adam, let's talk about just very quickly. Deadly Circus Fire was the band that you're in, and what, you're on a hiatus at the moment?
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a, I suppose, where it's kind of an unplanned hiatus in the fact that, you know, most of our merry band are at different points of the world, like Italy, New Zealand, England. It's all over the place. So as a result, you know, finding the time to, I mean, I know bands that are in the UK that struggle to find practice rooms that aren't, you know, 30 quid an hour. So it's the whole way of the ethos of being a band at the moment, you know, kind of is on the back burner. But plus, like, life gets in the way. We get older. You know, I said, you know, my career is tattooing. We've got side projects. We've got other bands that, you know, some of us work on, some of us don't. You know, the bassist Mike and I, you know, we work on a side project called Two Phantoms, and that's our like kind of alternative approach. But yeah, no, like we're on a kind of like an almost like an unofficial hiatus. But it's one of those things where, hey, if an opportunity comes along and we're all able to do it and come back, there's nothing I would want more, because I loved some of the best times, you know, as much as if you've ever been, you know, anyone out there who's ever been a musician who's done shows, gigs or tours, is you all know that those 23 hours a day that are absolute hell doesn't matter, because that 1 hour you're on stage is just the best feeling in the world when you have a gig, because it's so awesome. So yeah, to get to experience that again and create music, and for me, I've had to learn that I've never been a rock star mentality person. That's not like I'm being modest. I'm very awkward. I don't do the whole Aussie TV out the windows thing. I'm not, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm
Adam is so chill, but on stage commands, like, you used to have a little platform you'd step on, and then you had a megaphone. Yeah. Was it for one particular song?
Oh God, it was like one or two of them, but yeah, it was for like, yeah, and we did just so many weird things. We just want, the idea was we were trying to create a show every gig. Like, the fact is that we want people to go, oh yeah, I like the music, but, you know, have you seen them live? And it's I love that feeling. Any band you see, you know, even if you don't like so many bands I respect, because even though I don't like their music, I appreciate the hustle. I can see bands that I'm like, you know, I'm not into them. Like an example, when this, you know, cause a bit of back and forth with people, I just get it, because we're all entitled to like bands and not like them. But like, for instance, I can't get into like Ghost, not my kind of band, not my kind of music. Right. Don't hate it, just not for me.
Yeah, sure.
I've seen them live twice, and their live shows, awesome, great. Visuals are amazing. Everyone's a professional musician and fantastic to play. You know, just not my kind of song. But I think I love the idea that, yeah, playing gigs again like that and just going on stage, like, for me, it is a whole persona thing. It's an act. You know, I grew up in a family of, you know, my parents, you know, they were both West End actors that were in Cats together. That's how they, you know, around about the time they met. They've both been in, you know, Grease and Les Miserables, and as a result, you know, I've grown up in that kind of very eccentric theatrical world, and it's made me just such a big fan of the performance, not just the creation of art, how it's presented, you know, not just the painting, but the frame and the exhibition and everything involved. And the fact that it's just so many processes, and I think that's so important to create. And also, all these people come here to see you. They travel from all sorts of places, whether it's down the road or from across the world. You know, they want to show, they want to see you play. I mean, the least you can do is you do what you love doing and go at it full hog. And that's nothing I would love more than playing those shows. So, you know, who knows? Maybe in the future we'll be back. You know, we'll see how it goes.
That'd be great, man. He's got a great voice. Yeah, if you check out Adam on his socials and that, I'm sure he'll if you ever DM him, he'll link you to some of his music, and we'll check it out. Share. Cool. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everyone. I know we didn't do Vitamin G today, but we talked a lot about gratitude throughout this show. So, yeah, thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.